After I saw Shonik and Great Blue's video on improving 2 Fort, I remember the project I started working on about 3 years ago and never got around to finishing. This idea goes all the way back to the days of Face Punch forums. There was a mapping competition to create a playable map within a 1224 hammer unit cube. This is pretty much the smallest you can get a Source Engine map without weird stuff happening, and of course have a playable map. I think I had to go with a King of the Hill map for TF2 but never finished it. Others made things like escape rooms for Portal and Half-Life 2. Still, all these years later, the idea of a tiny yet playable map interests me. Around 2022 I started working on a version of 2 Fort within the restrictive space called Tiny 2 Fort. Yeah, I know, I'm creative with my naming. I mean, I made 2 Fort long, why not do the opposite and bring everything together? Oh, someone already did that. But my way's different. When you make a map for a Source game, it's best to start big and blocky. Source maps are almost all made in a program called Hammer. Unlike modern engines, the Source engine is basically a fancy Quake World spin-off with better lighting and physics, and uses a system called BSP for maps. There's a lot of maths behind it I don't understand, but long story short, maps in TF2 are basically a series of rooms. Some are really big rooms, mind you, but even the sky is just a wall. Just a special kind that looks like the sky. Hammer, I use an updated version called Hammer++ by the way, makes these worlds with big blocks called brushes. Brushes are used to make walls, floors and roofs of a world. I started out with making a 1024 hammer unit cube and making a very blocky small 2 Fort. As I said, I first called this map Tiny 2 Fort. Mostly spent the time working on the layout. The limited space made sussing things out hard. In this first edition, I had a connection from the sewer to the intel, and only had a small balcony on the side to spawn. The second version wasn't a big jump, just working out some lighting and spawn door locations, but only on blue side. The third version had some texture work going on, with intels being included. I think I did this just to get a feel of how I wanted it to look. I put a drop in the spawn for V4 like the side path drop. At this point I wasn't 100% happy with the layout. I scratched it all and I left it for a while. I completely rebuilt the red side for scratch for V5. Visually it's a tiny 2 Fort but squished in. The balcony, while very skinny, is now across the whole span of the base. The spawn has been moved to the other side and has 1 door exits, one for the courtyard and one for the balcony. The intel can now only be accessed via the staircase in the balcony area. This is the point I kinda just left it to work on other projects for a while. 3 years later I saw Shonik's and Great Blue's videos like I mentioned, and I came back to finish the job. V6 was a detailing job for the red side. I added some beams to red spawn and did some lighting work. V7 included even more detail. I did some clipping on the stairs and put some decals up. It was surprisingly hard to find this Happy Farmers logo. I also wasn't happy with the staircase in the courtyard area, but I left it for now. V8 was the final entry for Tiny 2 Fort. I made a replica of the red side, rotated it over to the blue side, and I spent about a day converting it to a blue theme and retitled the next version Too Small. Now I switched my focus to the middle. I needed new models for the bridge and sides. I couldn't use the regular models as they were way too long. I retaught myself how to use Blender last year. And there's a source model conversion program called Crowbar that does all the compiling and decompiling of models for Source games. Oh, look at that, you have to use a Quake compile file. Fancy Quake, as I said at the start. The Source engine is basically fancy Quake. I first made reference models using a program called Proper to convert the hammer brushes into 3D models, and then extracted the original bridge and sides from the 2 Fort files, converted everything into a format Blender could read, and began scaling things down. A problem I ran into with the bridge is that the Source engine much prefers collision boxes to be convex rather than concave. Convex shapes don't have any parts of themselves going inside themselves, and concave are the opposite. Concave shapes are more expensive to process physics for, and I ran into a problem with Crowbar turning my concave fizz box into big convex blobs that the players couldn't walk through. After some tinkering with different fizz boxes and QC file commands, I finally had some okayish fizz boxes for the bridge. This part was basically done. I then focused on player clips, lighting, and some misaligned textures I missed earlier. I also had to convert staircases on the blue side to detail brushes, as regular brushes are used to calculate visible areas, and even on a tiny map like this, having the steps undetailed would be wasteful and probably a bit laggy. Actually, that leads me to another point. This map is so small I don't have to do the normal optimizations that happen on a regular map. Helps speeds things up. Right now it's been renamed to TOOF based on feedback from some peeps at TF2 Maps, and it is in a playable state. Is it fun? I don't know, I didn't do any testing. I haven't finished the outside area because, well, I'm not really sure where to go from here. The moment I started building on the outside is the moment the map stops being a cube, and that takes away a lot of the charm. I was thinking about making it like a snow globe or a table somewhere possibly. I gave it a break to come back to it later. Also, a lot of life and work stuff got in the way, so I had to prioritize that. Until now. I came back to finally finish this mess. I did an outside area and made a skybox. I wish there was some cool montage behind this, but there isn't. Honestly, it's at the point where I can say it's good enough. There are flaws, lack of details, a few lighting problems, but I need to move on from this. Unless something big breaks, it will probably remain a B1 forever, but I don't care. Is it fun to play? Oh fuck no it isn't. I still want to see it on a 100-player server however. See how fast everyone runs out of room. Anyway, the map is out and ready to get played. I don't run a server, so I'll pass it on to someone else. Or you can just play with bots. They can't capture the intel though, it's too weird for them. They are trying. I'll give them that. I hit a spooky skeleton on the map. Ooh.